You know, you live in this hyper-connected world. Like, you can pull out your phone right now and look at high-resolution satellite maps of basically any street, any corner of the Earth.
Yeah, there are very few true blank spots left on the map.
Exactly. But hidden deep within the Bay of Bengal, there's still one place where strangers are met not with curiosity, but with arrows.
Right. North Sentinel Island.
Yeah. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the research on this island to figure out the exact mechanics of how, and more importantly, why this community has enforced a tens of thousands of year quarantine.
It's incredible. They've lived almost entirely untouched by modern civilization.
Right, and it's not just that they're this stubborn time capsule. I mean, they operate as a highly functioning closed-loop ecosystem. The moment you introduce an invasive species, the entire system violently rejects it just to survive.
And that violent rejection, it isn't just an arbitrary preference for isolation. It's actually a highly rational defense mechanism.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's rooted in a very specific, catastrophic historical event. So in the 19th century, British colonial officials were exploring the Andaman Islands, and they actually captured several Sentinelese adults and children.
Wait, they just took them off the island?
Yes, completely removed them. And because the Sentinelese had absolutely no immunological memory of outside pathogens, the adults quickly fell ill and died.
Well, just immediately.
Yeah. And then the British returned the children to the island with gifts, which, as you can imagine, was effectively dropping a biological bomb on the community.
Right, introducing all those foreign germs. It's fascinating to think about the sociological mechanics of that. I mean, without a known written language, they've managed to encode that devastating 19th century trauma into an oral history.
An oral history so potent that it dictates their border policy over a century later. They codified a strict survival rule, which is basically outsiders bring death.
Yeah.
And we see this play out clearly when we analyze the Indian government's attempts to establish contact, in the 1970s and 80s.
Right, the gift-dropping expeditions.
Exactly. Researchers left non-native goods like coconuts and metal tools just out on the beaches.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because if their foundational rule is that all outsiders are a lethal threat, why incorporate those gifts into their ecosystem at all? I mean, the research notes they actively harvested the coconuts from the beach, right?
They did, yeah. But they drew a brilliant distinction between utility and integration.
Interesting.
Right, like they recognized the value of a caloric resource or a superior material, but they maintained a hard physical boundary. So they would collect the goods, but while aiming drawn bows at the researchers' boats.
So they essentially stripped the resources of the threat.
Exactly. It proves a highly sophisticated understanding of quarantine protocols. They took the utility, but completely refused the interaction.
That strict quarantine protocol completely recontextualizes how they handled the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you'd think this apocalyptic natural disaster that devastated the surrounding coastlines would force them to accept outside help.
Yeah, you would assume they'd be desperate.
But when the Indian government sent a helicopter to check for survivors, the pilot was literally met by a Sentinelese man emerging from the forest, firing an arrow at the aircraft.
Yeah. They survived one of the deadliest seismic events in recorded history entirely on their own. Their response to a hovering machine wasn't a plea for rescue. It was a definitive enforcement of their sovereignty.
Right. And we saw that exact same enforcement in 2018.
The American missionary.
Yeah, an American missionary illegally breached their borders to introduce Christianity, which tragically resulted in his death. It's like, I mean, imagine someone breaking into your house to hand you a flyer. Regardless of the intruder's intentions, the islanders' message has always been a definitive leave.
And this brings up a crucial point about modern policy. The Indian government has a strict naval blockade around the island.
Right, and people usually assume that blockade is there to protect careless tourists or missionaries from getting shot.
But looking at the historical data, it's an epidemiological shield. We aren't keeping people out to protect us. We're keeping people out because our biology is a weapon to them.
Wow. Yeah, it's a one-way biological threat.
Exactly. It's the stark reality of immunological naivety. After tens of thousands of years of epidemiological isolation, they just haven't inherited the antibodies for the pathogens we carry daily.
So even a minor interaction could be catastrophic.
Totally. A massive biohazard breach, whether from a well-meaning missionary or a rescue helicopter, could introduce, a routine rhinovirus or an influenza strain. And that could systematically eradicate the entire population within weeks.
That is heavy. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, navigating a world where information is just instantly accessible? We don't know what they call themselves. We don't know the language they use, the stories they tell, or even the precise number of people living under that forest canopy.
We are so conditioned to believe that every blank spot on the map requires filling, right?
Yeah.
That every isolated group eventually just assimilates. But the Sentinelese offer this profound counter-narrative.
Yeah, they really do.
They have watched empires rise and fall from their shores and deliberately chosen to remain apart.
You can zoom in on almost any street from the palm of your hand today. But looking at this fiercely independent society, it leaves you with a serious question. In an era of relentless globalization, is the greatest respect humanity can show simply choosing to leave a mystery entirely unsolved?